within their price range. We've also chosen that particular social group because between those ages and that social class is usually where people listen to the most hip hop, grime and R&B. Our magazine it's not based towards one ethnicity, it's unisex and targets all ethnicities. Now, our target market is probably more people who live in the city because that's mostly where people listen to our type of music. Also, we've included slang, which would target them as well. The images used in our double page spread represent young culture through the language and the appearance of our models. Now, we have also, the language we use to represent our target market is slang. This can be seen in our double page spread text, where we've written things like LOL, which stands for laugh out loud, and we've used slang in our answers and questions. This can also be seen in our masthead and the name of our magazine, SNM, which stands for Say No More. This is also slang as well. Now, the models represent young culture because of the clothes they're wearing and the way that they're modelling them. This can be seen as in the sort of way they're standing or their facial expression. Now, we do reinforce quite a few stereotypes, but we don't believe that they're negative stereotypes. So one stereotype we reinforced is that young adults all have like nicknames or tags, such as Major. But that's not negative because it reinforces things like confidence, creativity and individuality. Similarly, the images also reinforce stereotypes, but again, this shows self-confidence, and we would really like to promote that in our magazine. Lastly, the other stereotype we reinforce is that males are more dominant in rap and hip hop and all that culture because our magazine is entirely males. Now, this could be seen as negative, but then because there are not a lot of female rappers, we didn't really see it as that much of a bad thing. Question 3. What kind of media institution might distribute your media product and why? Now, we have chosen Bois as our distributor because they distribute Q Magazine, which the magazine distributor we have chosen is Bois. We chose this as our distributor because they also distribute Q Magazine, which is another big music magazine, but it targets an older audience. Now, they have a good reputation as being a well-known magazine distributor with good standards, but also they're worldwide. They have also distributed many other magazines that may not be music magazines, but are worldwide known as well. Also, if we did pick Bois as our music distributor, they would also allow us to perform on many different platforms. So not just a magazine, but also radio or TV and the internet. Now, by targeting our social group, we have hit a target market that hasn't been touched yet. So this is a gap or a niche market. Because Q is for older listeners of music, our S&M magazine will target a group that hasn't been hit yet. Question 4. Who would be the audience of our media product? Question 4. Who would be the audience for your media product? Our audience would be teenagers between the age of 15 to 22, with a musical taste in grime, hip-hop and R&B. Now, as I've said before, our target market would mainly be people living in the city and lower to working class people. And we are not gender or ethnicity specific. Now, we have also got good audience feedback from putting up our magazines on social networking sites such as Facebook and Twitter. Now, we know this because our pictures and photos of our magazine has got many likes on Facebook, and then we have also got many positive comments about how if our magazine was real, people would definitely buy it. So I think that shows that our magazine is good and is well liked already. Question 5. How do you attract/address the audience? Now, we attract and address our audience by the costumes our models wear, the type of body language they have, and the language we used in our magazine. Now, these sort of elements appeal to a geographical area such as the city. Now, this can be a good thing. Our models are all aspirational and appeal to our audience because they look self-confident and professional. This could inspire others to be like them or to dress like them as well. Now, the font we used for our magazine was Impact because it's a serious font. It stands out from magazines and it would be bold if put in a magazine rack. And also the language used is slang. Now, this targets our target market because they mainly speak in slang, and this is the language used was slang or colloquial language, which is most commonly used amongst our target market. So by writing in this sort of style, it would appeal more to them. Question 6. What have you learned from the technologies from the process of constructing this product? Now, we have all learned how to use things such as InDesign and Photoshop because these are necessary pieces of skill and development that we need to make this magazine. Now, it was easier to edit photos and make the masthead on Photoshop because it has more editing potential, whereas InDesign only has a few editing tricks that we can do. But however, for our contents page and double page spread, we did need to use InDesign. So it became easier, and we learned that it was easier to place things onto InDesign once edited on Photoshop, because then we could organize it better and it looked more professional. Now, for taking the photos, we used the SLR camera. Now, this is a professional camera, and we also used a professional modeling studio. This made the quality of our work higher, and this would appeal to our target market because it looks professional as opposed to other teenage magazines which look like they just easily been made or they were taken on scene. Now, we also used Wix and social networking sites for the internet and just for general use. Wix is where we made the website, whereas social networking sites allowed us to show our work during developing stages to see what other people thought of them. So we also had external views throughout our work to show what was working and what people didn't like. Now, we also developed our photography skills as we were taking these photos. So photos we may have took at the start were a bit dodgy and didn't look as good, whereas by the end all our photos looked professional and nice. During the time we were taking the photos though, there was a mishap with the technology, as there was a lot of broken machines and things that we couldn't really fix at the time. So we did try to take photos just generally without them, but the quality wasn't as high as when all the lights were working. In Photoshop, the main skill we all developed was cropping, because this was one of the main things we needed to do, as we all decided that the background looked better without the black backdrop. We also had to use other skills such as balancing some of the colours and adding and taking away contrast. Now, as a group, we kept using the font Impact for our main font because we decided that this would be good for our house style. This was also said that this was a good font through our external evaluation. And the colours we used were all agreed by external evaluators as well, that these were good colours, they were bold, and they would be easily seen on a magazine rack. Now, we did look at various other magazines such as Vibe, XXL and Q for inspiration for our own magazine designs and layouts. because these are large music magazines. Now, Vibe and XXL are both hip hop and R&B magazines, but they don't also put in grime. So we thought by adding that would give us a bit of an edge. Also, their main target audience isn't teenagers, it's more towards an adult audience. And then Q doesn't even target hip hop. It may include a hip hop artist now and then, but it's not their main target market. Also, Q is written for older audiences. Therefore, by looking at all of these things and by narrowing it down to our target market, what our design is, and our house style, we ended up making a very good magazine.